Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is MOHAMAD. My KH number is 90B03013. Today I will tell about the Shariah Governance in introduction. Shariah risk management as a function that consists of identifying, measuring, monitoring, and controlling the Shariah non-compliant risk in order to mitigate the risk arising from the non-compliant events. The same principle also requires risk management to be systematic, to able to bank to have effective business and activities without being exposed to unacceptable risks. Sharia non-compliant risk management function is determined by the following of these steps. Number one, facilitating the process of identifying, measuring, controlling, and monitoring Sharia non-compliant risk inherent in IFI operation. Number two, formulating the recommended appropriate Sharia non-compliant risk management practices and guidelines. Also, number three, developing and implementing process for Sharia non-compliant risk awareness in the IFI. The Sharia risk management process has three steps. Number one, risk identification. Number two, risk measurement. Number three, risk monitoring.
My name is HATIMFATI bin Muhammad RAZALI. My metric number is 19BB03006. Today I will present about risk identification. Risk identification refers to process of determining the nature of the risk, its implication for the institution, present and future action. This method seeks to educate the institution as much as possible on the nature of the major variable or element that might result in the occurrence of unintended consequence. People factor. There are three. First is a fatwa risk. The lack of explanation and debate regarding the product will deprive the SC of critical information and fact in the case. Fatwa information for the given product and as a result erroneous decisions are made. Falsification of information, misrepresentation, fraud, and negligence. Bank employee may misrepresent or change product details to avoid the product being deemed invalid owing to violation of Shariah standard. Guideline violation and unimproved product transaction or legal documentation. Lack of communication and cooperation between SC and legal counsel may lead to Shariah non-compliance risk where the parties do not properly address some branch contained in the instrument. For the system, the term system factor in this sense refer to the information technology system used in the functional of IFIS. The information technology, infrastructure, and system are critical to the day-to-day operation of IFIS. The IT system is used in IFIS for product regulation, execution, and implementation. As a result, the information technology system must be capable of reflecting the genuine essence of Shariah principle. System factor. There have two. First is process and system accounting mismatch in inadequate product module, poor reporting, and unimproved software. The IT system utilized by the IFIS must be Shariah compliant, ensuring strict adherence to Shariah in all contracts entered by IFIS. For the second, inexperienced vendor, non-timely support, non-user-friendly system, and system mistake. Some of a typical aspect that must be placed in the module to ensure Shariah compliance in the system may be overlooked by the vendor of the IT module. Due to the lack understanding and expertise, suppliers may build a IT system that incompatible with the Shariah law and principle.
Assalamualaikum. My name is NURSHAQER IMAN bin RAZALI and my matrix number is 19BB03002. For risk measurement, the risk manager should be included in the risk measuring process. Worried about the magnitude of the annulment impact and the contract is null and void, IFI risk manager must classify the risk based on the level of harm that will be done to the institution. This allows to the IFI to focus more on the serious cases. Danger in comparison to the one that causes minor damage. There are 3 levels of Sharia non-compliance risk, which is severe, medium, and tolerable. For severe is non-compliance events lead to invalidation of contract and non-recognition of income. Example, financing gambling activities or investment in production of alcohol and liquor. For medium, contract with a defect in an accessory attribute. For example, is existence of an invalid condition in a contract, problem with the delivery of the subject matter, insufficient information about the subject matter, jahalah. And last is tolerable. Tolerable events that do not lead to the consequence mentioned under high and medium type of risk. For example, improper advertisement about product and indecent attire among the staffs.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. My name is SHAFIQ and my matric number is 19BB03004 and I would like to present about risk monitoring. Okay, risk monitoring is the last stage of the risk management process, deals with risk monitoring and controlling. Risk monitoring can be used to ensure that the risk management practices are effective. A proper risk monitoring also helps to discover mistakes at an early stage rather than suffer the bad consequence from the dormant untraceable risk. One of the tools used in the risk monitoring is Key Risk Indicator or KRI. KRI is a mathematical formula that includes all parameters that describe the operational variation of specific operation within specific business lines. KRI can be used as a tool in measuring the actual value of the cost and effect arising from the non-compliance events. Also, KRI predict possible occurrence of non-compliance event to enable to take reasonable preventive and corrective measures to avoid any loss arising from such non-compliance event. KRI also provide to monitoring potential source of Sharia non-compliance risk. Okay, so next we go to source of Sharia non-compliance risk. Source of Sharia non-compliance risk, I have 3: people, process and system. Okay, for the first one is people. The event is fatwa risk, fatwa fraud and misrepresentation, incompetent staff, and non-performance of obligation. For the risk indicator is staff turnover rates, staff training and experience level, number of approvals that are not compliant to Sharia rules and principles. Okay, so next is process. For the event process is unclear process and policies. For the risk indicator is number of contracts that are inconsistent with IFI policies. Next, settlement failure rate, number of default, and the last one is number of contracts that are not Sharia compliant. And for the last one is system. So the event for the system is IT is not Sharia compliant. The risk indicator is number of contracts that are not Sharia compliant, system failure rate, and the last one is number of failed operation. Okay, so for production stage, get 2 stages: pre-product approval and post-product approval. For pre-product approval process involve namely the issuance of Sharia decisions, product structuring or design process, backed by comprehensive Sharia research, vetting of contracts and agreements, as well as compliance checks before the product is offered to the customers. It shall be a formal and transparent procedure for issuance of Sharia decisions which are well documented and approved by the Board of Sharia and Committee. And IFI shall ensure that the pre-product approval process includes, among others, a review of the concept, structure, term sheet, documentation, policies, and procedures, pamphlet, brochures, and advertising materials. The document shall be approved by the Sharia Committee of the IFI. So the second one is post-product approval. For post-product approval process involve monitoring a product implementation to ensure compliance with Sharia principles, identify the area of potential Sharia, non-compliance risks, and proposing the relevant actions to the management. And IFI must ensure that the post-product approval in its Shariah governance framework also includes internal Shariah review and Shariah governance reporting. Without such follow-ups, the IFI would not be able to monitor the consistency of its Shariah compliance and effectively manage any Shariah non-compliance risks that may arise over time. Okay, for Sharia audit. Sharia audit is one of the main components in Sharia governance framework. Sharia audit refers to periodical assessment with the purpose of providing independent assessment and valuation as to the level of compliance with Sharia in relation to businesses and operation of IFIs. The Sharia audit must be conducted at least once a year. The scope of Sharia audit covers a wide range of areas which includes audit on financial statement, compliance audit on organizational structure, people, process and information technology system, and review on the adequacy of the Sharia governance arrangement. Okay, so for the first one is Sharia research. Sharia research is conducts pre-product approval process, research vetting of issues for submission, and undertake administrative and secretarial matters relating to the Sharia community. Second, handles administrative and secretarial matters relating to the Sharia community. And the last one is job scope revolves around pre-product approval. So for the second one is Sharia review. Sharia review is monitors Sharia compliance of product, support the work of the Sharia committee, and basic requirement of IFIs. And the last one is job scopes related to a post-product approval or an ex-post assurance process. So for the third one is Sharia audit. Sharia audit can be performed by internal auditor or external auditor. Mandatory requirement under SGP, Sharia Governance Policy, only requires internal auditing. Job scope related to ex-post audit that report directly to the board. And for the last one is Sharia risk management. Sharia risk management is facilitating the process of identifying, measuring, controlling and monitoring Sharia non-compliant risks. And the job scope related to pre-product approval.
For Shariah compliant risk management for IFI is an effective risk management that could lead the Shariah non-compliance of products is unquestionably important for IFIs to ensure that can retain customers' confidence in the purity of their business operation and those increase their market capitalization in order to compete in the market that highly regulated in nature. Based on divine revelation, this presentation suggests that risk management is permitted and highly encouraged because it is protect the wealth of the customers. With caveat that it does not include any aspects that contravene Sharia norms. These studies then introduce a Sharia risk management policy which include following steps. The first, risk identification. Number two, risk measurement. And number three, risk monitoring and controlling. The beginning of this process of risk management is very important as it provides a comprehensive guideline for IFI in detecting and eliminating risk from the entire aspect of operation in Islamic banking and finance, including human resource, business processes and procedures, as well as technology advancements. This presentation also provides a discussion on the role of organs that are responsible for managing Shariah non-compliance risks such as Shariah research, Shariah audits, and Shariah reviews. Thank you for me. Assalamualaikum.